everyone, this is CPO, and we are live on the 33rd Google Hangout ever. And it is October 20 something or another, and it's Friday night. We're kind of back on schedule from being off schedule, so we're doing 2 Fridays in a row, which is kind of unusual. But we ended up skipping one and then getting off kilter. And then I was just going to stay off kilter, which is what I usually do. I just stay on whatever the new Friday series is. But realizing that the next Friday after this is Halloween, and I don't want to see some of you in your little girl outfits, so I figured I would have the hangout tonight instead. So we're doing this 2 weeks in a row, which is actually kind of cool. I'm sure we all have plenty to talk about. A couple things, and one thing that is new with this hangout. Hang on, I'm going to mute you, Mike. There we go. I've extended the live chat capability from my website. So for those of you who have never been in the hangout, while we're here in a video session, we also have a little chat session happening on the side where we'll post links or just have other little sidebar discussion. But I've opened that up to where now we're going to have that discussion live with everybody else who's not in the hangout can join. So there's a URL down here on the bottom of my screen. It's everythingcpo.com, CPO, and then Hangouts. If you go there and look to the bottom right, you'll see a chat box. You can log in there and chat with us while we're recording the Hangout live. And you get 2 free comments as a guest, but after that you're going to have to log in using your Google Plus or Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn account. And the login button is on the right-hand side near the bottom. It's kind of hard to find for people. So yeah. So on that page, the everything CPO/Hangouts is the live feed for this particular Hangout, so you can watch it. There's probably a delay of a couple seconds, but for the most part it's live. But if you actually want to join by video, you can click the helicopter for those of you that have a hard time finding us, and that'll take you to the event page where there's a link you can click to join the Hangout. So I think that's it for now. So let's see. Let me take a roll call quickly. Aid made it. Dave. Joe is here. Casper and Mike. Hey, I'm glad you made it, Mike. So we'll catch up with you too today. So as usual, the format is I'm going to start with one side or the other, and I'm going to start on my left, which is Aid. So why don't you tell us what you've been up to, what's been going on, and how the weather is over there this time of year.
It's actually been very, very well. It's been a bit wet occasionally, but it's ridiculously warm. I mean, I'm wearing shorts still. It's currently outside, bearing in mind it is 2 o'clock in the morning. Outside it is 9 degrees centigrade, whatever that is in Fahrenheit. I have no idea. I could ask Google, but I'll let you guys do that. So, I mean, and during the day it's been getting up to 15, which is what, 65, 70-ish, I think, something like that. I don't know. So yeah, the weather's just ridiculous. We had the Charmouth fly-in, which is kind of like our Urcha, but it happens twice a year and is at the beginning and the end of the year and is nowhere near on the same scale of Urcha, so it's actually a bit of a rubbish comparison. But we had that, which was insanely quiet this year. I mean, we back in the day there used to be like 120 pilots booked in. I think this year they had about 30, just insanely quiet. And on the first flight, that happened.
Uh-oh. First flight?
First flight, literally, yeah. Like about 3.5 minutes in, I was like, I'm just finding me, just getting into the groove and sort of becoming comfortable because I haven't flown for a couple of weeks. And just sort of starting to enjoy myself, and then got a bit too low. As it happens, as you do, and smacked it in. But it was a nice social kind of day. It was quite cool, quite good. But other than that, just been working too much, really.
Cool.
But I don't know if you noticed, but the rotors have been a bit quiet, partly because I've been so busy, but also just it's it seemed quite difficult to get people to give people free advertising. I've been having chats with various numbers of different people, and to get people on the show is just really hard. And it's really quite depressing, actually. You know, you're talking to all these great people that are really interesting people, and they don't really get to have you never get them on live video, and sort of really to see the people behind it. You see, like people like Heligraphics, classic example. You see all these lovely videos coming out of these guys, but you never actually have a chat with them and to see what the people are like. And they were interested for a little while, as I said last time I was on, I think, and then it just sort of quieted down to nothing, and can't get anything out of Thunder Tiger, and it's just, don't know what the problem is, but they're not interested.
Is it the video that's the problem? Are they afraid to be on video?
I think there is a certain amount of that. Yeah, I mean, certainly one of the concerns, or the main concern raised from Heligraphics was because they are pushing the limits of what's deemed to be safe by the community, and they do get a bit of flack for it, and they were concerned about sort of the control of comments and stuff, and it's just like, well, as far as I'm concerned, there's no such thing as bad publicity, really, for people like them. It's just part of the deal. When you're pushing the limits like that, you are going to get some flack over it, and as long as you're seen and try your best to be as safe as possible, even if you don't seem to be being safe, you are being safe. Then there's no problem as far as I'm concerned. So, but they were just like, ooh, human race, we might get some flack over it. It's like, seriously, grow some dangly ones and get on with it. And just I have had nothing out of Thunder Tiger. I have emailed every person on the planet that's anything to do with Thunder Tiger. And
so
I not even a response.
I talked to the U.S. Thunder Tiger guys, and I didn't realize this. Of course, I know it now. But the Thunder Tiger International is an entire separate part of the organization from the Thunder Tiger USA, and I'm starting to find that with a lot of the other manufacturers. They have their USA version and their whatever version, and the Thunder Tiger USA folks were like, yeah, we have no way. It's like it's out of our jurisdiction, basically, is the response I got. They're not allowed to get involved in things that are happening outside the United States, which that was interesting.
That's just insane. I mean, looking at our viewing figures, I mean, that's one of the nice things about YouTube is you get to see the localities and how much of people are watching, and about 50% of our viewers are in the States.
Right.
And about 30% or 40% in the UK, and the rest make up the rest of the world. And so, there is a fairly large proportion of our viewers that are inside of their, of their region, and it's just weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so we're going to try a slight switch on the format a little bit for the next one, taking some cues from some other thing. I can't remember what it was. Oh yes, it was this thing. So we've got Rachel Plant on, who you may have heard of, but we're opening it up to anybody else. So, but I understand that 9 p.m. our time is a bit early for you guys in the States. So I don't know if you want to come along, you're more than welcome. And have a chat with Rachel and tell us about what you do, and because obviously a lot of the UK guys don't get to see this, and it's just come and have a look, come along if you feel like it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like an interesting format. It basically takes your previous concept of bringing in some bigger name folks or some well-known folks in the hobby, but also kind of like the informal hangout that we do here, and kind of merging the two.
Yeah,
it's a good idea.
Yeah, it should be good. It should be good. just to get some, sort of still get some. I mean, we won't get any of the big names on, I don't think. But it was sort of the way the show was going before was taking it a little bit too seriously for me and Kev anyway. It was being very hard work, and it's not something that myself or Kev are naturally sort of. It's not our natural environment. That whole commercial kind of almost a commercial broadcast, kind of thing going on, and it's not our thing. So we're shifting it a little bit, and hopefully it'll work quite nicely.
Well, cool. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys get fired up again, and if I can figure out what time in the morning that is for me, I don't even know what.
4 in the afternoon EDT, I believe.
That's right. Yeah. So that's been the problem with it historically. Is it happens right in the middle of my workday, and it's a little hard to sneak out, and I'm not allowed to do video streaming or anything crazy like that. So makes it pretty complicated.
Yeah.
And
I'm retired, so I got all day long.
Yeah, come along. You're more than welcome.
Cool. Well, we'll send you Dave as our liaison. How's that? So another question is, Aid, how much work does your heli need to be airworthy again?
It's not too bad, actually. I mean, it went in pretty hard. I came out the bottom of an inverted forwards loop, so forwards inverted, about a foot too low, going quite fast. And it's really not bad. I mean, it's done the boom and all the standard boomy bits, drive and gears, and obviously it went in under power, so it's done main gear. Main shaft looks okay. I've not stripped it yet, so I don't know about bearings and stuff, but all the shafts look pretty good. Blades, skids, that's about it really. And the odd link here and there. It really is pretty tough.
The servos survive?
Yeah, servos are okay. It popped the link. Every time it goes in, it always pops the main links off from the swash to the blade grips. It just seems to be a standard sort of nice natural weak point. So rather than doing servos and stuff, it just pops the links off, and it's pretty good like that. That's one of the things I do like about it is that it doesn't seem to do too much damage to the rest of the airframe when it's more the mechanical kind of hitting the ground thing. It does the damage. It's not the resultant forces going in anywhere else breaking stuff.
Yeah,
but it's still, the trouble is, by the time you do the boom and the drive and all the gears and a set of blades and some skids, you're still looking at over £120, which is what, $170, something like that. Which sort of for a relatively small model, I think that's quite a reasonable amount of money. The tail drive gears are like £10 a pop, So I don't know. I want to look at something else, but I can't. Nothing's really doing it for me at the moment. I want to change helis, but trouble is, it's sort of, if I step up a size, then I need new batteries. If I step down a size, I need new batteries. I think sort of, I mean, and I want a nice belt drive, like on the Raptor and the logos and my old Night 3D, that single stage belt drive straight off the big main gear. That's what I'm after. But there's so little choice out there for that style of tail drive. It's a bit of a pain.
Right.
So everything seems to use this two-stage torque tube with all these little crown gears that break relatively easily. So I don't know. I'll think of something, but yeah, we'll see.
Cool. All right, let's go next on the list. Clay is next in line. How you been, bud?
He disappeared.
You must have hit the eject button. Wrong button, Clay. All right, Dave, you're next.
Okay.
Eject.
I've been busy with the Blade 550. It's slowly coming together. I've been doing wiring most of the day. It's wiring's finally done, and it's actually powered up and running. My batteries came in yesterday, which was nice. Um, so I don't know. It's just like I said, it's been busy. It's been fun, learning a lot. Um,
I saw your proof of life video.
oh yeah,
That's good. Yeah, that's become, I think, like the new hello world for helicopters is, when you get some power to it, you got to do a video.
yeah. Man, I spent a lot of time. Seems like soldering. Soldering on 8-gauge wire is um,
I hate it.
definitely different. But I use EC5 connectors on all the big stuff. It's a little bit of a pain. And then I powered everything up without anything plugged in. I checked voltages. I'm extra careful because I don't want to make a mistake. So I checked voltages, slowly plugged things in, powered things up. Got some of the basics. Kind of waffled on what governor I wanted to use. If I wanted to use the governor on the castle or the brain flybarless, and I guess I ended up only because I've never used it before. I wired it up to use the brain's flybarless controller. So that'll be something new. I always like to try something new. Hopefully something new doesn't end up bad, but what I've read, it should be okay. So anyway.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people like that one.
I like it on mine.
I don't know that I fly it, aggressively enough to where I'd actually notice any difference. I've read they're both good. I've used Castles on the Talon 90. It's very good. So anyway, I got servos are powered up. Everything's moving in the right direction. So now it's just all the mechanicals set up and then going through the flybar controller and setting everything up there. So I like the batteries I bought. I bought these new Turnigy batteries. I really wanted to get the Revolectrics, but they've been out of stock for a while, and I emailed them, and I got several different responses. So if I average them all together, they'll probably have new stock in right around the first week of November, I'm guessing. I haven't figured it out.
Depends on who you ask, though, huh?
Yeah. Turnigy has these new 5,000 milliamp hour 6S batteries. Call them the heavy duty series. They're 60Cs. They're really large. And they seem to have, from what I can tell, I wouldn't say it's a hard case, but there seems to be a hard plastic layer on top, on two sides, the top and the bottom of it. Because I can't, the top feels very hard and smooth like just a piece of plastic, but I could feel down the side the individual cells. So thankfully the Blade 550X has a lot of room for big batteries, so I have no problem with fitting it in there. But everything I've read on these is they're really good, and I put them on my charger, and the first charge and discharge, first few cycles, they look great. The internal resistance is very low, just a hair over 1 milliohm. So they're doing well. One thing I didn't realize, I didn't even think about it until the batteries came, is my charger. Originally, when I set up my charger, I just used a server supply that I had around, and it's a monster, but it's only 12 volts. I didn't realize that the Power Lab chargers, you really get kind of limited when you're only using a 12 volt input. If you really want to take full advantage of the 1,000 watts, you got to go to, actually you have to go to 30, minimum of 30 volts on the input. So I went ahead and ordered new power supplies off of eBay because I didn't have anything. I couldn't find anything my friends have lying around. So I picked up these things, man. These things are ridiculously small. Two of them are
Got
small.
those.
Yeah, two of these are smaller and lighter than the big monster that I have in there. That's only 12 volts, but these will give me, I think, 800 and just under 900 watts of charging power out of the Power Lab. Because I don't, as it stands right now, I can't even 2C charge two of these 5,000 milliamp hour packs.
Wow.
What
That's
kind
just
of power supply is that?
this is the DPS 600 PB out of a HP server.
Yeah, that's what I got. Isn't that 575 volt watts?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, right around there.
All right, if you put two of them together, yeah, you'll break 1,000.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
gonna do.
you'll get 24 volts out of it. I think mine actually comes up to 25 when
Yeah,
I
I think there's a mod you can do to bump them up to to get them up to 27 volts. But they're not isolated, so I'll have to pull them apart and isolate the grounds.
yeah, you'll just have to do that on one of them.
Right.
There's a couple videos on how to do that, but they work fantastic. You'll love it.
Yeah, so it'll be nice because literally, man, the power supply I have right now is a serious luggable. It's actually out of a really large RAID array, so it's for powering a large stack of disk drives. So it's a monster. I think it weighs like 20 pounds or something like that.
Hmm.
So it's a pretty dramatic difference. So anyway, hopefully, I'll have it set up and be able to maiden in a few days. So
Nice.
other than that, that's what I got going.
So you said those batteries were huge. Like they fit in your frame, okay? I'm assuming no.
Yeah, I think the narrowest side, they're like I can't remember how tall they are. They're something like 56 tall or 57 millimeters tall by 51 millimeters wide.
Wow.
So they're a little larger than the. I think they're like 2 millimeters larger than the other Blue Turner Gs, the standard 5,000 milliamp batteries they had. But so I just picked up two of these for now. I'd like to get something a little bit smaller long term because if I switch to a different heli at some point, I don't want to have to mess with will they not fit. So I'm lucky that there's a lot of room in there, so these will be fine. I've read that they do really well, so we'll see.
So on your soldering, do you have you tried using the torch method, or are you using the iron with those 8-gauge wires?
I have a really high wattage adjustable iron, so if I need to, I can really crank the heat up on that thing, and it'll actually glow.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a high wattage iron soldering station, but I found on the bigger gauge wire, I don't even go to my soldering iron. I just use a little propane torch, and it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, I've done that on the EC5s.
I wish I would have done that because it probably would have been a little bit faster, and I probably wouldn't have burned my fingers as much. But
I need to find. I decided to stick with. I use the 4mm bullets I got from Hobby King with the red connectors, and I've had those pretty much on everything that is of any significant size. And I've been continuing with those, and I like them because I can split them off into separate, plugs, and they're, a pair is both the male and the female. You just kind of flip them around.
right.
But I'm having a hard time with those because the covers for them, the protectors, won't fit over thick gauge wire. So even my new Rev Electrics batteries, you can't slide the connector up over because you've got to. On those, you've got to slide the protector on the wire first, then solder, and then slip it back down. Whereas the EC5s, you just clip them into it afterwards, which is a much nicer deal. But
Right.
so Hobby King had these like revisioned, like version 2 of those connectors, where the protector's already installed, and then it's just got a little soldering cup that you can just add your wire to, and then you shrink tube on it. But I'm not liking that either. The hole is, I mean, seriously, not even just figuratively, it's that deep that I've got to slip my wire through.
Wow.
And it's impossible to get heat in there because you've got the connector on there.
Right.
So I don't like it very much. Anyway, yeah, I was just wondering if you'd tried that, but I think I might go back to some other connector, but it's kind of hard to change once you get invested in them.
Right.
I had a buddy of mine. He had some he had ordered, and I don't remember where he ordered them from, but they actually did like you were just talking about, Chris. They slipped on the wire first, and then you pulled them down over the connector, which was odd for an EC5, but you got to say that's how they worked.
Yeah, the batteries came shipped with these 5.5 millimeter bullets, but I pulled those off, and I was having a hard time finding EC5s that I liked at a good price, other than Hobby King. Hobby King obviously has everything at a good price, although I can't say that the Hobby King EC5s that I bought in the past, they're okay. I can't say that they're great. But I found on the internet, I haven't ordered from them before, but he had a really good price on them, so I thought I'd try them. I ordered EC5s from Buddy RC, and I was really impressed with them. They were, I think, $5 for 2 pairs, so I had two male, and 2 females in a pack, and they're really nice, well-fitting, nice connectors. And I, for 2 pairs for $5, I didn't think that was bad. Any other place that I looked at, especially around here locally, they wanted like $8 just for one connector, just for 1 pair, 1 male, 1 female. And I just thought that was a little bit steep. So RC Buddy is my new buddy for this.
Yeah, I like them too. That's who I got my charger from, and all my accessories for the charger. Anytime I get wiring stuff, that's who I try to use.
Now, there's a couple guys around here locally that have been trying to sell me on, and I've read about it on the forums a lot. I've not tried it because you got to buy a special crimp tool. But the Anderson power poles, they're just crimp-ons.
Yeah, but those are like $15 a connector, though.
Yeah, I haven't even looked at that. I'm just curious if you guys, because I think the crimp tool's kind of expensive too. So.
Yeah, I looked at them because for a while I thought, okay, that's it. Money's no object. I'm going to get the best connector I can get, and I'm just going to use for everything. And then I looked at the price and went, yeah. I mean, we're talking half the price of some of my batteries. So I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to do it.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, I'm still on EC5s, and I'm really happy with them. Really good connection. They're tight. You got to really pull to get them apart. They go on really nice and easy, and they're not that bad. I like the fact that you solder them without the plastic or anything on there, because typically what happens with me, I end up getting things so hot that if there's anything near the wire at all, it's going to melt plastic or shrink the shrink tube or whatever. So I like the fact that I can just stick the bullets on the ends and get my soldering done and let it cool down before I have to do anything else to it.
Yeah, I like that, and plus no shrink tube.
Right.
Another bonus. It looks just so clean. I've got a handful of EC5s, and there's still a part of me that wants to start converting everything over. But on my 12S system, right, the 700, I can take my regular 6S packs, and with I mean obviously, but with the Hobby King connectors I had, those 4mm bullets, doesn't even have to be Hobby King connectors, but the 4mm bullets, because they're all separate leads, I could just plug them in series without having to build a special harness or anything like that to get them connected. So that's why I kind of stuck with that. But
yeah.
But you can miswire them though. You can miswire them though. If you make up a lead for on the speed controller to take the two batteries in series, then you can't get it wrong because you plug one into one battery and one into the other, and you can't. It's not it's not possible.
That's true. It is actually technically, actually realistically possible for me to plug the positive and the negative together on one battery, which would be bad. And every time I put a stick together, I look at it and I look at it and I look at it and I'm thinking. I even use shrink tube. Oh my gosh. I try to put shrink tube on. Holy crap, this thing's big. So that I can see all the connectors, the different colors, as I'm plugging them in, so they're not just all red connectors. Because that was confusing. Because by default, they're all red, and I thought that's dumb. So now I have red connectors and black connectors. But yeah, it's still very highly possible that I could short them out.
But if you make up, say on the speed controller, on the wires that come out, you put one of the plus lead into one of the EC5s and the negative lead into the other EC5, and then solder a link wire in that links the two together. So that's then a permanent fixture on the model. And then when you put the battery in, you plug one battery into one EC5 and one battery into the other EC5, and that's it. You don't have to worry about anything else. I mean, because shorting out one of those big 5,024 volt, 22 volt batteries, shorting one of those out, well, that's a lot of amps and a lot of power to be dissipating through 0 ohms.
Yeah, I mean, if you like a show.
You'll definitely know what if it happens.
I'm actually intrigued whether the spark would be big enough for you to go, oh crap, and pull it apart, or whether you could actually get it together.
I think it would fuse instantly and just stick and then catch on fire and blow up.
Yeah, I wonder if you could pull it apart.
Yeah, I think it would fuse together.
I think the spark will be big enough to make you jump to get it apart.
Before I get it all the way together.
Before you get it all the way together and it welds itself together, and, it gets so hot it melts solder and all that. It would be. I'd actually be interested to know what would happen. From a human perspective of whether you'd actually be able to do it or not. But yeah, the thought of doing it is enough to make me go no. Because it doesn't matter. The trouble is, the longer you've been doing something, the more likely it is you're going to get blasé about it and do it. And even now, I mean, I've been doing this stupid sport for so long that I have connected up the leads on my charger, the banana plugs into the charger for the main charge wires. I have put those in backwards. I've connected chargers up backwards up to power supplies and stuff like that. And it's just like, when you first start, you are so anal about it. But after a while, you kind of just get, I've done it so many times before, you just get on and do it. And then you do get it wrong occasionally. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely that risk. So, which is one of the reasons why I keep thinking now's the time to change connectors. Because I, to be honest with you, I have 4 Revolectrix batteries, 6S 5200 milliamps, sitting on the bench that I'm going to solder tomorrow because I haven't soldered them up yet. And I'm like, oh, I just keep putting it off because I think if I'm going to change, I should change now because I've got a bunch of batteries to solder. But
yeah, got a buddy RC.
Stick with one kind of connector. When I first started doing this hobby, there was like a different connector on everything. It was ridiculous. So I just use the ECs now, the 3s and the 5s on just about everything.
Yeah, the good thing about the EC5s is if I get into a pinch, I can run down to a local hobby shop and pick those up. I may pay out the nose for them, but I can pick some up. Pretty much every other connector I use, XT60s or the 4mm bullets, I'm out of luck. If I need a if I need a connector now, I've got to wait and order one. So,
Yeah.
Just
but
be a little bit careful about which, because I mean, there's no EC5s. There are a bunch of different versions of EC5, and the main difference is in the male connector. And I had a crash actually that was caused by it was the ones with which were just like a tube with slots cut in them.
Right.
And when I soldered them up, the hole that I put in my bit of wood to hold the connector was just a little bit tight, and it pinched them in slightly. That then made them loose, a little bit loose, and that caused enough resistance to melt the solder. So get the ones that appear to work the best are the ones with the, I think it's like you've got, Dave, actually, just looking at one of your pictures. The banana plug kind of fan of Chinese lantern style of contacts on the male connector.
Yeah, it's kind of like a spring steel.
Yeah.
And those things are really nice. They hold really well. I was really impressed for the price. They're the best EC5s I've found so far.
Yeah, I saw some from, I think it was Hobby King, and they didn't look the same as the others. I had been getting the E-Flight ones because that's what my local hobby store has. So usually that's what I get, the E-Flight ones. I did get some from Buddy RC when I ordered my charger, and those they look the same. I don't know if they were the same quality or not. They seem to be. They seem to be fine.
Yeah. So now that I got these batteries and I pretty much done with the build, so I got everything powered up, and I picked this 550 up, and I'm thinking, is this supposed to fly this heavy? Because it's heavy. I'm surprised. Now it's my first 550, and I guess if I look at it, because I looked, I think the 500's average weight on a 500 is about 4 pounds. The average weight on a 700 is a little over 10 pounds. And my 550 right now, all up flying weight, is coming in at about 7.5 pounds. But I mean, that's when I picked it up, I was like, wow, there's a lot of weight that these rotors are going to have to pick up.
What does it weigh all up?
It's 7.5 pounds right now.
Hang on, I have to. 0.5.
I'm curious. I haven't even weighed mine. I don't know.
But my little X5 is 2.6 kilos, ready to fly. So
what is that in normal language?
In old school American, it is 2.2, isn't it? 5.7 pounds.
Okay.
So and that's a little bit smaller than your 550. Not a lot smaller, but a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
All right, hey, I want to hit a couple of quick questions from the chat. I know some of you guys are active in the chat, but not everybody is probably. So there are two things I want to kind of hit on. One of them is a question that was posted by a guest. Where is it? Oh, it's way up there. Does anybody think the popularity of RC helis has declined as the popularity of quads and the like are skyrocketing? And I know a couple of us has been chatting on the chat box about this, but do we think that the popularity of quads has kind of overshadowed helis and making them less popular?
Yes.
And I'll start out. So, what Casper's opinion is, and mine is pretty similar actually. I think it's an option that people didn't have before. I think before you had to pick. You want to be a plane or a heli pilot, but now with the introduction of consumer-grade multi-rotors that are very easy to fly and dirt cheap, I think it gives people another venue or another avenue to take. And so for new people, I think they're drawn to the multi-rotors just because of how simple and easy they are to fly. And I think we're going to find the more diehard people in the hobby are going to keep pushing towards helis, but the casual entrance into the hobby, I think a lot of them are going to start picking, and probably already are picking multi-rotors as the aircraft of choice. Now you guys can. You think so?
Yeah, definitely. They because they are neutrally, positively stable. They self-level. The little things like and they're so dirt cheap as well. Like the little Hudson X4 that I got ages ago. These little things, they're like $40, 30 quid or something like that, with a little transmitter that looks like an Xbox controller, but it works. It flies. It flies better than micro. Things like the T-Rex 450 and stuff back in when they first came out. This flies a million times better than anything like that ever. Back like 10 years ago. Just you look at the equivalents back then, and it was like the Piccolo, the Icarus Eco Piccolo, and it was 200 quid, and it barely flew. Whereas these things actually work.
They do. Now the argument historically has been the multi-rotors can't do the same thing the helis can do, but even that's changing with the advent of the 3D firmware for reversing motor direction on the helis or on the multi-rotors, and then obviously we've had true collective pitch multi-rotors, but I think that gap is getting even smaller now when guys are running around flying multi-rotors inverted and doing flips and loops and rolls and funnels and all that other stuff. So
I think the multi-rotors have cut deeply into the heli market. As a case in point, I got an email from Club Heli, which is one of the sources I use for my tarot parts. They indicated that they're closing shop after 6 years, and they're indicating the reason being a weak economy, diminishing margins, fraudulent credit cards, and reduced popularity of the hobby in general, for forcing them to call it quits. So, as a supplier that focuses on heli parts, I think they're seeing the market shrinkage.
I think that's partly to do with the economy, really. I mean, helicopters are not cheap things to fly.
Right.
I mean, you look at even looking at something like a 450, like T-Rex 450, something like that. Yeah, you're still looking at a pretty decent amount of money to get it going, and a pretty decent amount of money to put it in the ground as well. So, in a day of age when there is a limited amount of money available, it's hobbies like ready for helicopters are one of the first things to go out the window that get shelved. When money is tight. So it's not like a car or something like that, or even a bicycle. You look at a bicycle, it's like they're actually used as a mode of transport. So cycling has actually seen an increase in use with the economy because people are going, I can't afford to drive my car, I'm going to save money by cycling to work instead. So you don't have that you don't have that with helicopters.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and Powerdyne had a good comment on the chat. He said that the auto bailout and GPS on helis can thank the multi-rotors for advancing the technology for us. Probably some truth there as well. Okay. Just any other thoughts on that? I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on these little topics that come up randomly, but I think it's cool to be able to hit those up when we get them. There was another question that came up that I wanted to ask, which is the question, and I had heard this too. Maybe it was where the heck, man? So the problem with the chat window now is it gets so big I can't find anything after a while.
This is about using 6S on the bench for testing?
Yes, yeah, that's what it was. So instead of using a 12S system, or for a 12S system, using a 6S on the bench, and I think it was RC Heli Nation where they had talked about that because you're putting half the voltage through, even if you do accidentally spool it up, it won't be nearly as bad as putting a full 12S through. But Does anybody have any problems with that? Is there anything with the system, the fly barless system, that would be goofy by putting half the voltage through just for bench stuff? I don't think so.
No.
Well, that's gonna.
If you're running a set, depends how you're wired up for your BEC. If your BEC is wired up so that you need the full 12S for that to work, then obviously it won't work. But if you're wired up so you only need the power off of one battery to power the BEC, which is what a lot of people do, they only run it off one of the packs, then you'll be fine. But,
I mean, heck, I almost always just use my my backup guard for power for setup, servos and fly barless controller. I just use the backup guard. I don't even plug in a flight pack.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I run a receiver pack for mine, so unless I have to fire up the ESC to program something in it,
Right.
I'll put the main pack on.
yeah, that's a good point actually. From a safety perspective, you don't want to be powering up the speed controller unless you actually really want to be powering up the speed controller.
I
If
found
you're doing
the second-
fire and stuff.
Sorry.
What'd you say, Joe?
Oh, the second part of his question was he was concerned if using a 6S, if he would still be able to check motor direction and set the parameters in the fly barless.
Yeah, so I think motor direction definitely you can check with a 6S. I'm assuming the motor would have no problem taking the smaller amount of voltage.
The current would go up, but as long if you're just checking the direction, i.e., like a second of or half a second of which way the motor going, then you'll be fine. But yeah, you wouldn't want to be spooling it up. No.
Honestly, though, when I get to that point, I'd rather just put the whole stick in, and blades off, and then spool it up and just take a look at it and make sure everything's running right as I check the direction.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be less of a hassle to just take the blades off.
Yeah, but the point made on RC Heli Nation is if you full power up, even with the blades off, that thing's shaking quite a bit on your bench, and
Oh yeah.
it's pretty wide eye-opening.
The thing is, you don't need to be running the thing up to like lots of RPM in order to check the motor direction. You only need to be just cracking the throttle open and going, the motor's spinning. It only needs to be running at 100 RPM or something. It's nothing, and you'll soon know if it's it's literally just crack it up. It starts to spool, and if it spins the main bearing the wrong way, the main gear the wrong way, then you know you got it wrong. If it spins about the blades, then you're fine. Literally, I mean, the rotor head should only be doing 2 or 3 turns to do that. So
Right.
Yeah, unless you're setting endpoints or checking governor. Other than that.
endpoints you do just by you power it on with full throttle, don't you? That's how you
gotta set it all the way up.
and the governor you do in the air anyway. So
Right.
yeah, I never ran anything up to speed on the bench. It's all if it's getting run up, it's getting run up outdoors.
Right. To me, that just sounds like, if you're at that point, you're taking too much risk as it is. I don't see where there's really a need to be able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, you've also got tail blades to deal with too. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'd rather go take it outside. I usually take that stuff into the garage floor, spool it up just to look at it. So.
Right.
All right, let's move on. I'm gonna go back into introductions, and I'm gonna hit Mike Connor since this is his first time to join the Hangout. And so, Mike, you've kind of hit the format here. Tell us about yourself, who you are, what you've been up to, and then we always ask people to tell us what they're flying. So, what do you fly as well?
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yep, we're hearing fine. Yep.
All right, I've been kind of sick today and yesterday, so my voice is kind of going on me. So my name is Mike. I like drinking red wine and taking walks on the beach. No. No.
Well, you'll fit right in here then.
Okay. Do you guys like to cuddle up on the couch and watch some Netflix too?
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm more of a Plex fan myself, but.
Oh, okay. So no, I'm Mike. I'm in Utah. I live in Utah. I've been flying helis and airplanes and pretty much everything for, since I was in junior high, and I took a long break from it. I really didn't get into flying until later in life. I was too busy doing the racing and the radio-controlled rock crawling. I was big into competing with radio-controlled rock crawling. So, but I got burnt out on that. It was just like racing. If you guys have ever raced, you know how people get. They're super competitive, and it's just a lot of drama and a lot of issues you deal with. So I got out of that and started getting into flying. And I started off with a T-Rex 250, and this was before flybarless systems and all that came available. So it was all flybarred, and taught myself how to fly on a 250, and just kept moving up, 450 to 700 sized helis. And right now I'm flying a Line T-Rex 700 Nitro. I've got a T-Rex 550. I've got a 130X, and I just barely finished building a 250 sized mini quad. And I've also got a few other projects that I'm working on as well.
And so I think this is something that a few of the guys have caught on to lately, but very recently I have joined the hosting team at the RC Hangar Time podcast, and Mike has kind of been running that show. For how long have you guys been doing that?
I started doing the RC Hangar Time podcast in January of 2012. So it ran for about a year, and I was going through some major life changes, and I ended up having to quit doing the show for a while to get my life back in order, and finally once life settled down a little bit and I had some more time to concentrate on it and put the effort that's needed into it, I started it back up this year and found a few new hosts, and recently just added Chris to the show.
Cool. So those of you who are watching, if you're not familiar with RC Hangar Time, you can go check it out, rchangartime.com. And it's basically that show. It's another one of the RC-related podcasts that tries to cover all the different aspects of the aero modeling part of the hobby. So it's multi-rotors, planes, and helis pretty much, and depends on the day what's going to be the primary topic. And just to sell the next show, which will probably release Tuesday night, maybe Wednesday morning, depending on how long it takes Mike to get it all edited and posted. But we're going to have Josh Brannon from Zeal Blades on, so we'll get a chance to talk to him and find out a little bit more about what's going on at Zeal. So anyway, just invited Mike to the hangout. Obviously, everybody's invited, but wanted to make sure he knew we were here, so I was glad to see him come on. So thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I know, like I told you before, Friday nights are hard for me, so I'm lucky to be here tonight for a little bit.
Yeah, they're hard for everybody, but yeah, come and go as you please. All right, let's see. Clay, are you going to eject on us this time, or are you going to actually?
No, there's two red buttons up there. One is for the mute button, and the other is to hang up. And I hit the hang up button, so that was there's a dumb thumb on the computer, or well, index.
I thought maybe you got too embarrassed to talk and just exploded.
No, I'm not embarrassed to talk. Nothing much. Flew the 550 a good bit this week. Still having fun with it. 450, she's still busted. Hopefully she'll be up and running later. And working on getting this yak running. I got some new charge leads for these NiCad. Well, not NiCad. Nickel metal hydride batteries. First time I've ever used these things. I don't know. It's a pack of AAA's or double A's. But anyway, I'm cycling those tonight to see if those are good, so that hopefully tomorrow I can get the the DLE 30 cranked up. So we'll get that thing running and see how that goes. And I got an old prop on it, so it's not going to work. So this week I got to get a new prop for it. But other than that, that's about where I'm at.
That is nice. I like that. I like that plane.
I do too. I got to find a place to put it. It's sitting on this table behind me. I have to squeeze by it to get in and out of the room. It's
they make the wings removable for a reason.
Well, they did, but I've been working on them. I've been getting bubbles out of them, and I wired up the Spectrum receiver and stuff in it today. So I had them all plugged in, and I bolted them on when I did that, and I haven't taken them off. But
Nice.
I've been
Don't feel
touching
bad.
them.
I never take. Once I put the wings on a plane, I just can't seem to take them off, with the exception of the Sensei, because I can't do anything with it without taking them off.
Well, that's the thing I'm running in with this. It's 72 inches wingspan. I don't even think I can fit it in the back of the truck without taking the wings off. So, and I got a full-size pickup, so either I rig something up to make it sit in there cocked a little bit, or take the wings off. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet.
Anything bigger than 60 inches is kind of it's coming apart from my book. I used to fly big molded gliders, like 3 meter span, 110 inch, 120 inch, something like that. Molded gliders, and they have 3-piece wings. You just can't do anything with them with the wings on. It's just insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my Tucano's 64 inches, and if I push the 2 front seats as far forward in the car as I can get them, I can kind of work it in. It takes me like 5 minutes to get into the back seat of the car at a crazy angle. And the elevator has to be just right, and the ailerons have to be just right. But yeah, that I found that is my limit, 64 inches. So
how long does it take? How long does it take to take the wings off and put them back on again?
I don't know, because I just leave them on.
Well, the yak's not bad. Each wing's got 1 bolt and 2 pins, so it's not that bad. But like I said, I've been tinkering with this thing every day since I got it, so I've just kept them on for a little while.
That's
Well,
awesome.
Chris, you're about far enough in this hobby. You're gonna have to buy a truck, buddy.
I've already put my wife on notice that my next vehicle is going to be at least an SUV, perhaps a truck. Right now, it's a pain in the butt, because if I want to go to the field, I'm usually taking a couple of planes and a couple of helis. And if I want to take anybody other than, like, even just my son, it becomes really problematic just for space. So I've been known to take my wife's minivan to the flying club, and I'll never admit it in public if you corner me, but yes, the minivan has much more cargo room, and it's a much better suited vehicle right now for me to get to the flying field.
Get you a trailer.
Just admit it. You like driving the minivan.
Yeah, you know what? I hate minivans. I would just assume get the exact same thing without sliding doors, and it would be cool. But something about sliding doors, I can't do.
You know, we had one, and to be a passenger in it, it's fantastic. To drive it anytime, but to drive it, it's a whole nother ballgame. Especially if you're like going through a parking lot with the glass to the stores with that mirrored finish, and you can see yourself driving it. It's terrible.
Yeah, the first time you roll up to a stoplight and you're feeling pretty cool, and somebody looks at you like you're a tool. That's when you know. Oh.
I used to be into minis, you know, the Rover Mini, the proper Mini, back in the day, like 15 years ago. And I used to get a heli, a 60-inch glider, a 3-meter glider, and fuel and tools and everything all into it, and a passenger.
No way.
Seriously, honestly, you guys just need to learn how to pack.
Just to strap
That
it to the
whole
top
thing
of
back
the
with
roof.
everything sticking out the top.
No, because the size of everything was and actually the 60-inch glider went in one piece, because you could shuffle it in so the one of the wingtips was down behind the passenger seat, on the back seat. I mean, the thing didn't really have a boot worth talking about. That's where all the tools went. So the glider went in sort of down on a diagonal, and then the big 3-meter thing was the right size that it fit. The wings would were in a box that fitted across the back seat, no problem at all. They just sat flat on the back seat. The fuzz went in at a diagonal across the back, and then everything else just went on top of the wings. Just all the other bits and pieces and clothing and all that sort of stuff all went on the back seat. No problem. No problem at all. As I say, you just need to learn how to pack.
I don't know. I think there's something to be said for just getting a bigger vehicle.
Yeah.
The
I
problem
love
is,
having a full-size truck. I came from a Isuzu Trooper, and now I've got a Toyota Tundra, and it's like jumping. It's like jumping out of that Cooper you were talking about and getting in a Cadillac. It's a big difference.
you know, my last vehicle before my current car, which is a little BMW 5 Series, my last car was a Chevy Avalanche, and I really miss the Avalanche. That would have been a perfect RC truck because it has the fully enclosed bed, locking tailgate, all that good stuff. So I don't know. I may look at one of those again here pretty soon.
It's called the BMW M5 Little.
Well, little compared to my truck, yes.
So a 5 Series BMW is small. Is that what you're saying?
In comparison, yes. But it's bigger than a 3 Series. I'll give you that. All right, next question.
No, move on, quick.
Let's see. Joe, how you doing, man? Tell us what you've been up to.
No, we're not done with you. Well, speaking of that, are you ever going to reveal what your mystery pictures are?
Soon. I probably have a couple more mystery pictures.
Okay. I don't want to blow it or anything. I don't. I just wondering.
Yeah. I just felt like it would be fun to tease a little bit, but you'll probably know here pretty soon. And if for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, on the RC Hangar Time group page on Facebook, I started posting just some mystery pictures of random things that hopefully people are gonna see how it all comes together soon.
Am I right of what it is? I think I know what it is.
I don't want to say. That's a problem.
Give me a hint. Give me a hint.
You're probably right, but
Probably.
but I'm still having fun.
Well, I need to thank Dave for last Friday's hangout. My wallet's $250 lighter, thanks to that discussion. As I was watching it, he was talking about, man, I can't believe how cheap these Blade or Horizon Hobbies blowing these blades out. And as soon as the words left his mouth, I'm on Google, I'm like, holy crap, he's right. So the following Monday, I ordered one through Amazon, and it was on my doorstep Tuesday. I don't know how they did it. I didn't pay to have it next day aired or anything like that, but it's still in a box. I haven't even taken it out of the box. Yeah. That's a winter project. There's a lot of research I want to do on it to decide on the electronics.
Well, is that
killer deal? I wish they still sold it in the. I really debated between it and the 600X because you can still get the 600X in the combo deal, which is a smoking deal with the servos and everything for. Oh, what was it? I think $499 or something.
That's crazy.
It is, but I haven't done anything with it. I'm just, like I said, researching what I'm gonna do with it, and probably be a winter build. And
well, now you're officially part of the Heli Hangout crew. When you spend money and you didn't even attend the hangout, and you spend money based on a conversation from the hangout, so
yeah,
you're definitely in it now.
Yeah. Then a few weeks ago, I bought the Chase 360, and it's kind of on hold right now. The quality on it is it's getting a little bit of bad rap right now because there's a bit of a discussion between the I can't remember the guy's name. He's an Australian guy who designed it for KDS. But then when KDS got a hold of it, they decided to make some changes on their own and for probably for economical reasons, and they weren't very good changes. But supposedly they had already released like the version 2 upgrade parts that fixes those issues that if they would have listened to this Aussie in the first place wouldn't be having to fix now. But apparently there's no U.S. distributors yet that have these upgrade parts. So I don't want to build it and fly it a few times just to have to tear it back apart and upgrade it. So I'll just stop building it altogether, and I'll just wait until I can get those pretty much needed. I guess there was a belt problem, so I used some cheap crappy belt instead of the one that was spec'd for it originally.
I heard there was belt problems with the Chase 360, with the stock belt.
Yeah, it uses like I can't remember what they called it, an MX2 belt instead of a GT2 belt, or I can't remember the.
Yeah, they said that it frays really easy on that the 6S power plant. So they said they have an upgraded belt with the new kits, I guess, from what I understand.
And mine's a pretty new kit, but they've since released the GT2 belts and the upgraded metal pulleys instead of the plastics or the nylon pulleys.
Right.
The other thing to be aware of with the belts is making sure that the boom supports aren't pulling the boom down at all or pushing it up. If it's very easy to sort of tension it up, and it'll pull the boom, so the tail rotor will then sit low, and that puts the drive line for the belt out of position. And then it starts running on the edge of the pulleys, and then the pulleys cut into it and destroys the side of the belt in no time. It's kind of something you learn quite quickly with belt drives, especially on the big stuff.
Well, it's funny you mention it because it's a full carbon fiber boom. I don't know if you could flex it if you tried, as stiff as it is compared to aluminum or aluminium, as you guys like to say. But the tail belt is funny. That's the one that there's not a problem with. It's the first and second stage belts that are.
Oh, okay. Okay. I haven't had a look at the Chase actually yet. 360, isn't it?
There's not a whole lot of videos on it. I mean, it seems to be real popular in Asia. Not a whole lot of information. There's no build videos on them. There's nobody in the U.S. showing. There's a couple guys that have some flight videos, but no real reviews or anything like that on them yet.
Oh, there's build thread on RC groups. Oh, I see. Yeah. Ooh. How many belts?
3.
Yeah. That's different.
That's good. Anyway, but my point is it's really good quality. It's got a removable battery tray, which is pretty incredible on this size of a heli. The anodizing on the aluminum parts is really good. The machining is pretty good. All the bearings are really good, really smooth and everything's going together really, really well. I just can't fly it yet.
Now you didn't mention this yet, though, did you? You just bought some different 450 parts, is that right?
Yeah, after I lawn darted my 450 yesterday, yeah, I did some research and found out that the T-Rex, the Dominator boom and torque tube and the linkage rod is a straight swap to the older versions of the T-Rex 450s. So, I mean, I had to replace all that stuff anyway. I might as well upgrade and get the longer boom and torque tube and blades and all the other stuff that it blew into the pond that I'll never find.
Yep, know that. That's awesome. Cool. Anything else going on?
I got a new transmitter too, and I'm loving it, and that's it, really.
What did you get?
DX9.
I should be getting me a new Futaba soon, as soon as Chris mails it to me.
7 days.
Is it the 8FG, Chris?
It's the no, the P8J.
Okay.
So
I love my 8FG. The software on it is absolutely dismal. Luckily, you don't use much of it for a helicopter, but the mechanics of it are really nice. The way it sits in your hands and everything is really nice.
I've heard they're really small.
8FG, yeah, they are like a 5 series.
Good, but
Hang on, 2 seconds. I'll go and grab mine. Bloody 5 series.
Yeah, I've got. I use an 8FG. That's what we're talking about, right? Is that what you asked, Joe? That you said was small.
yeah, I listened. I've been going back and listening to all the old. As I'm building and things, I listen to the RC Heli Nation guys and listen to all their old older videos or podcasts. They talk about Futaba quite a bit, and they talk about the differences between those and Spectrum and JR and all that other stuff. And they have always mentioned how the Futabas feel in their hands.
It's not a big radio, but it's not small either.
Narrow? Is it narrow like this? What's this way?
Yeah,
That's
there's
what they're
not a
talking
lot
about?
to it. It's a nice shape. A lot of the modern stuff is really kind of flat-sided and really slabby, and whereas because the way I hold it. If you look, I put out a video on rotors a while back showing and talking about how I hold the transmitter and the setup and switches and all that sort of stuff, and using the AFG and just the stick lengths and the big one is the distance between the switches, that switch there and that switch there. Because I do finger and thumb. Can't really show you on here. If you watch the video,
I've seen it.
it's easier. The way it sits in your hands and you can flick the switches really easy. You can get to everything nicely, and it just sits in the hands perfectly, and it balances on the neck strap, which a lot of them don't do. You know, it sits at a proper angle on hanging off the neck strap. So, you know, I just, and you can't. I don't think you can beat fast either. The Futaba protocol, the FASST. It's cost.
Well, I'm really hoping to try out that Futaba because here's my radio, and you'll see my struggles flying helis. It's kind of tough flying with this thing.
That's the best you can get.
I mean,
that thing's awesome.
It's way better than Futaba, Fast, and Spectrum, and all that put together. But I got big hands. It just doesn't work well.
I can beat that.
It's like I'm trying to do this reverse pyro flip, and I hit XXX left button, right button, and it's not doing it. I don't get
Yeah. Well, I usually try extra lives too, where you do A B up down left right slick start. But every time I crash, I don't get an extra life. I don't get it. Something's wrong.
What was it, Contra?
Yeah.
Nice.
You'll like that DX9 though. It's I'm happy with it. I've enjoyed mine a lot.
Yeah, the DX9 seems like a pretty reasonable radio, but I've got. So I liked the feel of my Spectrum DX6i when I had it. I don't have it anymore. The Futaba 8FG for me is a little bit tight in the fact that where I slip my fingers through between the switches, I can feel the switches, but it doesn't bother me now that I'm used to it. But I was some of my other transmitters, I don't feel both sides of my finger. Does that even make sense? I don't even know. But with the 8FG,
I know what you mean.
With the 8FG, I put my fingers in, and I can feel the switch in front of and the switch behind it while it's resting in place. And I've actually become kind of used to that, and I don't mind it so much. But it felt cramped at first, and now it is what it is. But yeah, you can't go wrong with the DX9 either. So.
I think for the money, the DX9 is very difficult to beat. I mean, the Futaba is a good step up in money, and it's hard to justify that money as well. But you know, if I picked mine up second hand, so I think it would have been, yeah, if I hadn't have found the 8FG second hand, I think I probably would have gone for a DX8 or DX9.
What I'm finding is important is if you're going to make the switch, do it before you amass a hanger full of craft.
Yeah, damn right. Yeah.
Because then you got to. I mean, you don't have just the transmitter to worry about. You have all your receivers and satellites if you use those, and all the other stuff to worry about. That's
where I'm at now. I've got a handful of Spectrum receivers and as many satellites that I don't use at all. I'll probably sell them one day, but for now I'm too lazy to list them. But and then I've got. Oh, I'm gonna mute Raj. There we go. I've got the Futaba, where I've got a Futaba receiver on my 700 and my 550, but I don't have any other Futaba receivers because I haven't been able to afford to go replace anything. And then I've got my FreeSky receivers on pretty much everything else. So yeah, it's kind of, and I have so many transmitters because I have so many different receivers that one of these days I'm just gonna have to stop and throw out everything but one type and then convert. But
Chris, you can bind more than one craft to a receiver, right? You don't have to have a receiver for every one of your aircraft,
Yeah, but then you got to move it around. I thought about it. I thought about just putting a Velcro on the back and just swapping it around and moving it, but
no, not me. Somebody else told me that one time. I never even considered it.
Yeah.
The trouble is, whenever you move something, you're disturbing the connections, and you have to compromise on how you're mounting it, and it's just an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah. So nope, I'm not doing that right now.
No. It just makes me shiver thinking about it.
All right, Casper, you there, or you take off? All right, let's go to Raj. You settled? Can you hear us?
Yeah.
You're on mute, Raj. I love this part.
What happened?
Hello.
There we go.
I didn't know I could unmute myself.
You have to unmute yourself.
Okay. Well, I thought you had to do it since you are the one that muted me.
No.
How's things?
Good. What have you been up to?
I've actually been getting some flying done. I'm experimenting with lowering my head speed and upping my expo and lowering my rates so I can kind of dumb these things down a little bit so I can be more precise in my hovering. And so far it seems to be working.
Nice.
I'm trying to practice myself up so I can compete at the Nashville Music City helicopter meet next spring and F3C kind of competition. So I've just been practicing my hovering here lately. And the maneuvers that you have to do for the hovering, the inverted triangle and the figure M, that stuff's hard.
All right, explain that to me because I'm not familiar with it.
Well, F3C, the sportsman class, the entry-level hovering maneuvers, you hover an inverted triangle. Basically, you pick the helicopter up, and then you slowly go up to the right or to the left until you're about 8-10 meters in the air, and you stop, and then you turn the helicopter parallel to you, or side into you, and you go to the other flag, and then you turn it back tail, and then you come back down to the middle again and complete the maneuver, and then you land. Okay, that's the inverted triangle. And the figure M is you just trace a figure M in the sky or in the air with the helicopter at hovering speeds. And I'll tell you, at least for me, it's pretty hard. And that's why I've been playing around with lowering the head speed and up in the expo so that the helicopter is a lot more stable.
Nice.
And then the maneuvers, the aerobatic maneuvers, you have to do a procedure turn, and then you have to do an axial roll and a loop. And that's what the sportsman class competition is. So my rolls are not real pretty. They're more like a tumble. But I'm getting better at the loop. I'm starting to come close to the same altitude for the exit as I had going into the maneuver.
You start the loop lower, and then you can't get any lower.
Well, yeah.
You're guaranteed to come out at the same height as you went in at.
Or higher anyway. Huh?
Well, you could go a bit higher, I suppose. But
yeah, you definitely I understand where you wouldn't want to go any lower. And
Start low.
let's see, I've also been finishing up on the shed and laundry room and deck that I built last spring.
Well, if you're finishing up on it, you certainly didn't build it last spring.
Flying in. And we'll be getting ready to go home in about 2 weeks now. 2 weeks from Sunday, I believe it is.
Nice.
Go back to the cold and the damp. You know, the weather here has just been glorious.
Yeah, you're getting spoiled for sure.
Oh, every year I come out here, I get spoiled. There's no doubt about it. You know, I love to come out here.
Cool.
Hey, I watched the video today where you posted your governor calibration for the Raptor. That's another step closer.
Yeah, I did. So I did a maiden today. I'll call it a maiden.
You did?
Hover. Yep. Yeah, I got it out in the front yard, which not a lot of room. But I'm actually going to put out a quick video probably tomorrow since we're here tonight. I didn't get a chance to work on it.
Okay.
But yeah, I told my son we didn't have time to get to the field. I said, look, let's just go out in the front yard, and at least I want to get it in the air. Because the calibration, you know, went so smooth, I thought, okay, this thing's ready to fly. I just need to get it out. So I was nervous as all get out.
I can understand that.
I hovered that thing like it's the first time I've hovered a helicopter. It scared the hell out of me just because it was so intimidating. But it felt really good to get that out of the way. That first, okay, it flies. It didn't implode or explode. All the parts seem to be working the way they're supposed to. You know, that kind of thing.
Nobody died.
Yeah, nobody died. But
I felt the same way when I felt the same way when I maidened the N7. You know, I was scared.
Yeah, there's
to
a
death.
significant difference.
You bet.
Yeah, something about it's just the sound. It's very intimidating.
And
so yeah.
I'll tell you what, and then you throw the motor noise from the nitro in there, and it makes it even worse.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
Did you have to go change your shorts afterwards?
I did not, but
I didn't either. But I was when I fired up my T-Rex 500 for the first time. I spooled it up, and I just left it on the ground. It intimidated me so much. and shut her down, went in, had a beer, put it away for the night, went back out the next day and actually maidened it. But you know, the first time that I tried to fly that thing, oh my God, scared the bejesus out of me. And now it's nothing. Now it's like a 450.
Yep. Yeah, I remember my 550. How timid I was with that, going from the 450 to the 550. And now, you know, I don't even think about the 450. I just want to go grab the 550 and fly it. So I imagine, you know, one afternoon with a couple of packs, and that 700 will feel natural again.
Yes,
Just
it will.
wait till you pile one in. You'll cry like a baby.
That's what I'm afraid of, man. I've got so much money tied up in this thing that I'm afraid to do anything with it.
Yeah, when I piled in my
I
700
cry like a
nitro,
baby
I was
every
not
time I
happy.
pile one in.
What was that, Mike?
When I piled in my 700 nitro, I cried like a baby. I was not happy.
Yeah, I could imagine. So
It was
I
a sad day.
when I pile any of them in. You know,
I usually laugh it
back.
off, but when it's not in your control and you have nothing to do with it, my motor just quit on me 2 feet off the deck, inverted, and there was nothing I could do about it.
Nope.
So
yeah, I've been fairly fortunate that almost all of my lawn darts have been my fault. So
yeah, if I dumped them, I mean I dumped them my 550 right into the ground, and I laughed about it. I thought it was, you know, pretty funny on my part, but when it's out of your control, there's really nothing you can do about it.
yeah, my first two. I don't know if you've seen my 500 maiden videos, but I made my Taro 500 twice, and both times I had a motor tank on me during the maiden flight.
Is that the one with the smoke? Was that the?
Yeah, that I ended up having to. Yeah, it turned into a smoking auto. And then I put a new motor in it, and the second motor went bad in it. So yeah, that's been my luck with that 500. So those have been the only two real significant things. Well, and it didn't cause any damage, but those were unintended ground contact because of mechanical or electronics failure, which doesn't happen very often for me. So.
Have you replaced that second motor yet on the 500?
Yeah, actually, I've got a new motor. It's been completely rebuilt. I put the RJX fly barless head on it, and quite frankly, I just need to set it up and then go fly it again. It's ready to go. But yeah, I put a Turnigy Typhoon 500 motor in it, so a cheapo
Nice.
motor, but it works pretty well.
Well, I've got a Turnigy motor in one of my 450s, and it seems to fly just fine.
Yep. So the 500's got my icon on it, which I really want to play more with the icon. But again, it's like transmitters and, you know, battery connectors. I've got a different fly barless controller for every single heli, and I have to learn it, figure it out, tweak it, and it's just like once I get one figured out, I just I leave it. But
see, there's a message there, Chris. There is a message there that maybe you should standardize.
Yeah, you know, I like to diversify.
Awesome.
I like the icon. I gotta say though, I really like the CGY 750 that I have in my 700 now. Was the easiest one to actually program, and I really, so far it seems really tight. I haven't done anything with it other than hover it, but really solid in feel. The only thing I wish it had was a self-level or a bailout function. If it were for that, it would be the absolute perfect fly barless controller so far for everything I've seen.
And the one helicopter that you do have that has the self-level, you don't fly it to test,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. The one, the icon is the one that I don't use.
That's what I bought for my chase. Just like you, I want to diversify and try something different. And I kind of felt guilty about it because, I mean, the Robird for my flight skills is more than adequate. But I thought, well, I want to try something different. What does this manufacturer have to offer me? And I thought, well, this thing should be pretty vibe free. Let me try the icon on it.
The Futaba, do you program that on the device itself, or do you have to plug it into a computer?
No, it's got buttons that you can program and a full LCD display, and you program it all from the device itself.
See, I was setting up I set up a V-bar recently and set up the MSH version of the Brain, same thing. And I just this whole plugging it into a computer thing's a pain in the backside for me, because I don't have a Windows laptop. I have a Windows desktop and I have a Chromebook and I have a bunch of Android devices. And it's a pain to plug a model in, even something as little as the little 450 size stuff. Plugging that into my desktop on my desk is a pain in the backside because stuff gets in the way, and it's just being able to program it on the model, on the dining room table, or make a little adjustment when you're out at the field without lugging a laptop around is really, really nice. You know, that's one of the things I love about the Vortex is the data pod. It's just a little thing, and you just plug it in, you just go tick, beep, 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 done, and go and fly. Which means that you can sort of fly it, stop, land, make an adjustment, carry on flying again. It makes it much easier and much quicker to tune the model in.
See, I have the Icon, and I didn't mind. I don't mind taking the laptop to the field. I didn't like having to plug it in. And the USB adapter port on my Icon actually broke free and was loose inside the unit. Heli Direct sent me another one, but when they sent me the other one, I got the Bluetooth with it. And that's pretty nice, because you can use your mobile device, you can use the laptop, whatever, and not actually have to plug it in.
Yeah, I think I would be much more happy with it if I had a Bluetooth connection to it. But
I think it's like $25 or something for it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I do it. I have an Android
Does
tablet.
Does the Icon have an iOS Bluetooth adapter, or is it strictly Android?
No, there's no Apple, so you've got to use something else.
Okay, so you're limited to an Android device.
Or Windows.
Right.
I was going to say that's no bad thing, but
Hey.
What? I didn't say nothing. That's changing the subject. That's the data pod for Spartan. It's tiny.
I do like that idea.
It's such a little device, and you can mount them on. It just plugs into the thing. But I find it so easy just to have that in my pocket. Walk up to the model, plug it into the side of the Vortex, and it just works. You know, and the screen it's small. Don't get me wrong, it is small, but it's so easily readable. It's just a nice little display. Who's that?
Who calls you at 4 o'clock in the morning?
It's not me.
Okay.
Well, Adrian, do you use that FBL on the same one on all your helicopters?
I only have one big model at the moment.
Oh.
I'm generally a one model kind of. Well, in terms of proper helicopters, I generally just have the one. I've always just been a one heli pilot, just because it's cheaper, just from the expense perspective.
What's going on? I
Who
feel
is
like
that?
I'm being serenaded by somebody. I'm starting to blush a little.
Rod went on YouTube, it must be him. Hey, Adrian, go check out the YouTube link I put in the chat box to see how easy and simple that Futaba CGY 750 is.
I'll have a look at that later. Yeah.
All right, let's hit Casper before we get too far running out of time. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. It's been kind of a slow week. Had the best of intentions this morning. Charged up 2 batteries. Was going to fly the 450. We've been having some unusually warm weather. About 77 for the high. For you across the pond, that's about 25 C. But in order to get that, we pick up a strong southerly wind from the Gulf of Mexico, and so you either have to get out early in the morning to fly, or the wind picks up, and then it gets out of the limits. But I somehow got delayed this morning. By the time I got out there, it was a little past my comfort since I haven't flown for a while. Other than a few indoor stuff, that's been the limit of my flying. I've been looking to pick up some batteries for the 600. I had my eye on the Glaciers, but like Dave mentioned, they're not going to be in stock till about 1 November. So I'm wondering if China's going through a lipo manufacturing cycle right now where they're in between runs or something that causes a shortage. And then the other thing is, I'm wondering on these 12S packs I'm going to make, probably using a tray, if anybody uses shrink wrap or if they just Velcro them in, or how do they find it best to make those packs?
You want to make a stick pack?
Yeah, I'm thinking of stick packs, but I want to be able to charge them separately, but at least I've seen a lot of clear shrink wraps, and I'm not wondering if they're using large wiring shrink wraps or if they're using something else.
You can get the shrink wrap to put 2 packs in one tube, yeah. You extend just the one in the back. Actually, RC Heli Nation, I was reading today, they have a how to make your own stick packs in one of the sections on their website. But they do it like everybody else. You just extend the balance leads and extend the power leads.
Right.
And then secure them down the sides and make it as flat as possible. And then do your wrap, and then just put your connectors on like you normally would.
I've seen some that put them cable-to-cable ends in the middle and just do a cutout in the middle and connect them there,
Yeah.
depending on the configuration.
Well, I think it really depends on how you're going to charge it too. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I posted the URL for the stick pack DIY from RC Heli Nation in the chat box. Maybe that'll be... So me personally, I don't want to connect mine because I like to be able to use them separately. Not only to charge them separately, but because I have a 550 that takes the same batteries, I can use them as singles or doubles. So I don't want to connect them together permanently. So I
but
can't
also
help
the T-Rex, sorry, the Raptor 700 has a battery tray though, doesn't it, that slides in?
It does, yeah.
So
yeah.
you strap it to the battery tray and then in it goes. So it's not quite so much of an issue. I mean, I was playing around with a Logo 600 recently, and that thing's a nightmare because without having a stick pack, because you have the 2 packs and they move around a little bit, and you've got to try and strap them both down. It's a pain in the backside. It's really quite fiddly to do. So stick pack's cool in that sort of situation, but in as you say, with the battery tray, it makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, I guess I'm spoiled.
There's several models out there like that. Synergy's one of them. There's no tray, so it is a pain.
Yeah, in fact, when I bought my Heli, I bought 2 extra trays so that I can have 3 already built and ready to go, and then just swap out trays on the fly.
Yeah, it's definitely the tray way of doing things for the big stuff is definitely the way to do it. Really nice.
Are you still using the Rev Electrics on your 550 that you're going to use on your 700, Chris?
Yep. I'm using the Rev Electrics for the 550 and the 700. As a matter of fact, I bought 6 of them when I bought the 700. I've got some Turnigy, not blues, but I think I've got Nanotechs that I also have that I'll just use with the 550.
Are they holding up well, I mean, do you log any of that? When I first got my PL6, I started logging all that information, but as time's gone on, it's like, what's the point? Log it when you first buy them so that you can have a comparison. But have you? Are they your batteries still holding up well? I mean, you probably don't have thousands of flights on them, but
Yeah, I don't put a lot of flights on them, like a lot of guys that go out and fly every single week. But they've held up for I mean, I haven't had any problems. I don't have any puffing. I don't have the internal resistance. Still feels pretty nice. Feels pretty nice. What the hell? Every time I touch the internal resistance, it's just it feels great. No, it looks nice when I look at it. I think I'm running around the high ones to low twos on IR milliohms. So yeah, I mean everything seems like it's doing okay. So I got no problems with them.
Well, I have a question regarding the IR of battery packs. If you're parallel charging, that IR reading that you're getting on your graph, would you divide that by the number of battery packs that you discharged?
I don't know that you can get an accurate reading with multiple packs.
No, you can't.
Okay.
You can get the average of all of them, but it's actually when you put two resistances in parallel, it halves the resistance, not doubles it.
Oh, okay.
The total resistance halves, so you'd actually multiply it up, but that would only be the average of all of them. If you see what I mean.
Right.
If you could have one that was high and one that was low, but the average would be in the middle, so you wouldn't see. So it's a good idea when you're parallel charging. Occasionally, you just do a cycle, just do a charge on its own, just to sort of see what the pack's like.
Yeah, but back to what you were kind of talking about earlier, which is I don't log anything anymore. I had great intentions when I first started. I even got a little app to do flight logging and parts logging and battery logging and charge, discharge, all that stuff. And, I kept up with that for about, I don't know, a day.
Right.
I lasted.
Well, I can't do too much of a chore. It's not fun anymore. If you're making a hobby a job now. It's too much work.
So now that I have the CellPro PowerLab 8, where I can see things like internal resistance and all that, I'll try and make a point every so often just to charge a battery by itself, take a look at it, see how it looks. But I don't save any logs. I don't save any of the graphs. I don't do any of that stuff. The best I have right now is I have a number on each battery, so that if I have a problem with it, something either goofy on the charging or something goofy during flight where it's reduced flight time or whatever, I'll just make a note of that number mentally, and then I'll check it again and see if I get the same thing, and kind of do that. Or if I crash one, I might set that number aside and kind of keep a watch on it or something. But outside of that, I don't do any logging. I kind of want to. I want to be that guy that can go back, for the entire year and tell you how all his batteries have been doing, but I can't do it.
My thing with batteries is that they either work or they're starting to go downhill or they're dead. So until they start showing signs of having issues, there's not really a lot of point in logging what's going on, because the log will be incrementally slightly worse than the last one, than the last charge. So logging every single one is probably a waste of time, unless, as you say, there's been something funky. So if you did have a kind of a power drop or you overflew it or something like that, then log it then. Plug it into the logging software and log the charge and make sure all the resistances are good and that sort of stuff. But other than that, all I do is I've got my packs have a sticker on them with a number on it, like you say, and a buy date, so I know when I got it, and then they just have stickers with zeros on them, which get ticked off with a pen after it's charged, and that's it. That's all I do now. It's anything more than that is generally a waste of time, unless, as you say, there's something funky going on.
Yeah, mine
Yeah,
the date that I bought them. And
I used to log every one of my charge cycles when I had a charger that just did a single battery. When I bought my 306B, I was able to start parallel charging, and the logging lasted about a day.
Yeah, and it's less accurate at that point too if you're parallel charging, because you're not sure if you're logging what.
If you're going to continue to log, you have to you parallel charge it, and you take an average of what went into the batteries, and if you want to check individual cells, you got to unhook one of them, and then you got to swap that connection, and it got to be real tedious real quick, so I quit doing it.
Yeah. And the other thing is the way you're supposed to charge is that when you finish flying, you come home and you pull them all up to storage charge level, and then before you go for the next fly, you charge them up to full. So you don't actually get any useful information out of that because you're half charging and then full charging. You don't know how much the pack's pulled out or anything like that. So it's
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those.
When I was charging individual batteries, I was flying often enough that I would just charge them and then go out to the field the next day usually and fly again. And then when I'd get home, I'd charge again. And then I got hooked up with some guys that also have a generator, and that kind of puts a kibosh on any log keeping as well. Is you slap it on the charger and then you really go fly again. Zoom, zoom, and off you go.
Yeah. Which is where the sticker on the pack comes in quite handy, because all you need then is a pen. When you finish charging the thing up, you just tick off the zero.
Make a mark of how many flights you've had, right?
Yeah, and it just, as you say, it just tells you how many cycles you've had on that battery.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have an indicator.
And really, is that information even necessary? Because, like you say, the battery starts to degrade, and to me, it's pretty noticeable when you've got a battery that starts to go bad, and that's when you want to maybe check the IR and see what the IR is doing, and usually you make a decision pretty quick and say, well, that battery's shot. Time to get a new one.
Yes, but if that battery is 6 months old and has only got 30 flights on it, then either to maybe steer clear of that brand, or get it replaced under warranty, or something like that. Whereas if you have a large number of batteries, keeping track of the age of the pack can be quite tricky.
Mm-hmm.
When they all, if you have all the same brand and they all look fairly similar, and without any marking on them at all, it can be quite tricky to determine whether that pack is one that you bought 6 months ago or a year ago, and has only got 60 flights on it, or only got 30 cycles on it, or 100 cycles. That sort of.
Yeah.
I like what you do about putting the ticks on it to know an exact cycle count. I usually just put the date on it that I bought it. And
that's what I do.
It's also quite good proof as well. Well, not proof, but it's an extra kind of thing for claiming that warranty. If you do get a pack that goes bad early, of being able to have a pack that's marked up to say, look, honest, I did, I'm just drawn these on last week, and you can tell because the sticker looks a bit old and shabby, and you can tell it's been on there a while. So it's kind of an extra kind of like, look, I have only done 30 cycles on this. You can tell that to the supplier, and the supplier can look at the sticker. You can send it back to them, and the supplier will go, "Yep, I agree with you. That looks like that's a 6 month old sticker, and it's only got 30 cycles on it, and yes, it is dead. So I'll trust that you are being honest with me and replace it."
Do you check that box on it, even if let's say you charge up 5 batteries, take them to the flying field, and do like what I did yesterday, and your first battery you nosedive it into the dirt, then you promptly have to take your remaining batteries and discharge them. Do you count those as a cycle, or only do you count the cycles in the helicopter?
I'm a bit naughty. I don't discharge them.
Okay.
I should discharge. The thing is, over here, the temperature change isn't. The reason you do that is that when you get a drop in temperature, the relative charge of the pack goes down. Sorry, up. So if you charge a battery up at home at room temperature, and then take it out to the field, and it gets colder, you can actually be at say 105% charge. So any temperature variance can result in a battery that is in an overcharged state, and obviously you don't want to be leaving it that. So that's why they do the whole storage charge thing. They discharge it below the maximum voltage, below the 4.2 per cell, and stops you from damaging the pack due to temperature change. My over here in the UK, we don't get a huge temperature variance, so it's not like I'm going to be charging at 30 degrees centigrade and then going out to a field that's at -5. It's room temp. Even outside now, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and outside now it's 11 degrees C. It's only 18 in here inside, so there's not a huge temperature difference between outside and inside. So it's not going to be a huge problem. Yes, okay, I should discharge them a little bit, but I don't. So the quick answer to the question is no.
Okay.
I think you hit on
way to say no.
I think you hit on another good point too about staying clear of, I guess, cheap batteries, batteries of poor quality. I had enough of that because it's a waste of money. So.
I also, on contrary, I think some of the high-end batteries are suffer a bit of an Apple effect of having a really good name, but just being quite good at picking what cells they use, and you end up paying a lot of money for that. So with a bit of research, I think you could probably save a bit of money by choosing an off-brand, but just being careful about your research and picking a pack, a brand of pack which works for you. Not everybody. I mean, I treat my packs get a lot of reviews. The X-Nova motor and the X5 and my flying style is pretty hard on packs. I run it runs at sort of a lot of power for a lot of the flight. If I do go full out on it, I can make these OptiPower batteries very unhappy quite easily. But whereas if you're just hovering or just doing basic aerobatics, then you don't need the high end packs. But equally, the cheap ones won't work either because you won't get the cycle life out of them. So I think not going super cheap, but equally not going super expensive is just researching what's around and going off your own personal experience of what you've used can save you a lot of money.
I've had good luck with the pulse packs. They're not insanely expensive and they're not cheap either. They're right around the middle, I guess, and they've lasted very well.
Yeah, and I think that's the key is to find packs that work, and that's what another good reason to tick off the cycle life of the packs, so you know for yourself whether those packs are any good or not, and make your choice on the next set of packs based on that. If you have good experience with good value packs, then go for it. If you've got the money to spend out on gens or optis or whatever, then go for it. But me personally, these optis are nice. They do work. Don't get me wrong. They are really, really good packs. But £100 a pop, that's it's a lot of money for a battery.
They're expensive.
You do pay for it, and I just think when Dave was showing me those Turnigies, the description he was giving me sounded very, very similar to the packaging of the optis, and I'm thinking, well, all these cells come out of 3 or 4 factories in the world.
Right.
There aren't many places that make these things. So if you can find out where these packs come from, these super expensive packs come from, and find the cells, find the same cells from a different brand, then a lower cost, then fair play. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then you might have wasted your money. But I don't know. That's something I'm going to have a chat with Dave actually after the show. After the hangout I'll have a chat on Google Plus at some point and say get some pictures of the of those batteries because I'm quite intrigued by them.
Okay.
What were the
Kinda
names
off
of those again?
off heli topics, but still talking about batteries. Which one of you guys have experience with these?
What are they? Are they the LIFE batteries?
No, these are nickel metal hydrides.
Yep, I've used them extensively over the years. What are you using it for?
The plane. I've got two. One's going to power the receiver and servos, and one's going to power the electronic ignition.
Looks like the pack I had on my 550.
What? So it's a gas or flow motor, is it?
Yeah, it's a DLE 30 gas motor.
Are they digi servos or are they
digital high tech?
They are digis. What capacity is the battery?
Say again.
What capacity is the battery?
2700 milliamp.
4 or 5 cell?
5.
5. Yeah, I mean that'll be fine. Do 3 or 4 flights on it and charge it up and see how much capacity you've pulled out of the pack, and then make a judgment on how many flights you're going to do before charging it. So if you do 4 flights on it and it's only pulled out 20% of the capacity of the battery, then you know you can do sort of 6 or 8 flights before a recharge. But just sort of treat it like that.
Okay.
I wouldn't worry too much about it.
And these things take a lot longer to charge than a LiPo, right?
No. Well, as with all these receiver packs, the limiting factor of the charge isn't the battery; it's the connector. That little Futaba, the receiver connector, can only maintain 1.5 amps, 2 amps over a long period without overheating it. So you're limited to like to a 1.5 amp charge really to charge it up. So just put it on a peak charger, a peak set charger, and you'll be fine.
Okay. I've got the 306B. It'll charge them. And actually today I bought charge leads for it so I can plug it into that charger. Because I don't have anything. Until today I didn't have anything for it. But that's what I was reading, and what I saw was the most I could put through was 1.5 amp.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to clarify that because I have zero experience with these things. So.
I have too much experience with them. Yeah. Just I'd say just charge 1.5 amps on the peak detect, and it'll charge up, and it will be done. Then go to the flying field, go and do 3 or 4 flights, come home, charge it back up again, and just see how many milliamps you put in. So if it's a 2700, you say
2700 milliamp, yeah.
Yeah. So if you put 1,000 milliamps in after 4 flights, then you can push it to 6 quite happily. That's the main concern really, and do the same for the other pack for the ignition as well.
All right, copy that.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, we've been at this for a couple hours. Any last thoughts before we wrap it up?
FPV mini quad racing.
Yes.
That looks so awesome.
It does. I want to do it.
But the trouble is, there's so much choice on controllers and downlinks and cameras and goggles and stuff, and it seems like you can pay an awful lot of money for some of it and naff all for other stuff. I'm just sort of interested to know, either off air later on or whatever, or now, sort of recommendations for the various bits of kit.
Yeah, the person we need in this discussion for that is Lee. He's been digging into that.
I was just thinking that myself.
I get confused.
Wake him up.
It's the video equipment is what confuses me. As far as distance, quality, compatibility and not interrupting with the receiver or your radio.
The antenna types.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
been actually looking a lot into that a lot as far as the radio frequencies that we should be using. I've been talking with Lee about that a lot. I have I wouldn't say I have some experience, but I've done a lot of reading and research, and like I said, talking with Lee. Generally, the higher the frequency you're going to go up, the better video quality. The lower you go in frequency, the lower your video quality, but you're going to get better distance. You're going to have the ability to go through objects. In general, for the sweet spot seems to be 1.3 gigs. The only issue with that is you have to use a notch filter. Otherwise, it could interfere if you're running 2.4 gig on your radio. But a notch filter is relatively inexpensive, and they're easy to come by. So
it filters out the harmonic, does it, for the 2.4? Is that right?
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, if I'm going to put on the goggles, I don't want to fly in front of me. I want to go down the street, out of the neighborhood, through the McDonald's drive-thru, and back. I want to fly. If I'm going to put on the goggles, I want to go.
Right.
Otherwise, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But
yeah, in general,
I'm very interested and
1.3
curious
gigs.
about it.
In general, 1.3 gigs seems to be the sweet spot for that. If you go lower, I mean, you can go into the 400 megahertz amateur radio bands. I'm an amateur radio operator, so not a big deal for me. I'm licensed, but then your video quality really suffers. So if you want decent quality video and you want to be able to go considerable distance and you want to be able to go through basic objects like trees and whatnot, everything I've been able to find says 1.3 gigs is the place you need to be.
And at that point, don't you isn't a ground station preferable at that point? Is that how that works? And does that beef up the signal strength by utilizing a ground station?
Correct. Then that's when you want to get into using directional antennas, or you can do a diversity setup where you're using an omnidirectional antenna for close in, and then when you're really going out a long distance, then you switches over to the directional antenna. There's a guy here that's been doing a lot of that stuff up in the mountains, some pretty amazing stuff. He's been going like several miles, and that's up in the hills around bends and stuff like that. And he's getting phenomenal stuff, and I've been meaning to try to get together with him to see what he's been doing.
Well, that's the other problem with going high frequency as well, isn't it? Because I know somebody around that's local here that's running 5.8 gigs. Now his video is awesome, but
Right.
I think you need to maintain line of sight.
Exactly. Yeah, 5.8 gig, even 2.4 gig. You're not going through a tree. You're not going around a corner. As soon as you're out of sight, you're pretty much done.
Yeah, which is the thing with the quad racing. They tend to be running in woods through trees and that sort of stuff. Surely the radio link is for the control then is starting to become an issue too.
Right.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I'm not sure how they're dealing with having that many people. I don't know how many channels are available on, say, 1.3, or if they're running on a different frequency.
Of course, because it's not spread frictional or anything like that either, is it?
No.
It's back to the old days of not interfering with each other.
Right.
Yeah, it's literally just channel assignments where you're picking your channel for your frequency and hoping nobody else is using it.
Right. Well, the old flying field, we used to go watch them at. They would come in and hang their number on the board.
Yeah.
And if somebody else had your number, you had to wait till they came out.
Yep. And you hope somebody didn't flip on their radio in the pits or something or out in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, number of times I've put big models in from people doing something like that. or just a screw up on the frequency control or something. You know, that there's been a peg missing, or there's been an assumed peg missing, and someone's gone, oh yeah, that peg wasn't there last week, so it can't be there now. So I'm going to go and fly, and oh look, the reason the peg wasn't there is because I was using it.
Nice.
So yeah.
So maybe next time we can get a special invite out to Lee if he's not vacationing some exotic place.
Oh yeah, I saw his picture. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, doesn't Mike do this? I've seen that on the RC Hangar time.
I was going to say, we should have talked about this when Mike was still here, but he's just now getting into it, but I'm sure he's done a lot of research on it. And matter of fact, the last show we did, we talked a little bit about FPV racing.
Right.
Well, last one before the last one, 2 shows ago.
Yeah, I really like the winter one that you guys just did. You know,
Oh,
what do you guys do in the winter? That's a whole nother couple-hour conversation. I'm just saying, I like that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the FPV stuff is kind of an emerging hot area of the hobby, which I'm hoping to get into myself, but I haven't done the research yet either as far as what the best gear is and all that. There's just so much. I mean, so much to learn so quickly.
Yeah, I mean the camera stuff, the video rigs and stuff like that are cool, but it's not something that I'm personally interested in doing. But they are. I love the technology, and I like viewing it. The stuff they're coming out with is really cool. But this FPV racing stuff is something that it really tickles my boat. I've done a fair bit of racing in my time with models, with gliders specifically, and I can't even say it. It's that time of the day. And it's something that really tickles my interest. But there's just if you want to make it into if it's something that wants to catch on, it's one of those things that'll be really good fun to do with other people. You know, you get 4 up on a circuit laid out, through woods and trees and stuff, racing each other as a semi-formal kind of thing. But for it to happen like that, there needs to be kind of standard gear that's easily obtainable without it being too expensive and things. And without requiring hideous amounts of research.
Right.
Yeah, look, the other interesting thing is that this is catching on fairly quickly, so it's an area that's developing very quickly. The choices are actually different than when I started looking at this 6 months ago compared to what you have today. There's a pretty significant difference in what's available. So 6 months from now, it could be another radical change in what's out there and what we have as options. So that's one of the things that held me back from buying, is because I'm afraid of buying something today, and 3 months from now, there's something even better, a lot better at half the cost or something like that.
No, that's electronics. The minute you buy it, it's obsolete.
Right. It's changing quick.
Or even when you buy it, it's 2 years out of date.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The goggles seem to be the thing that the big major cost, don't they? You think? Is that right there? Do you think the goggles are the major thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the most expensive part. If you do that right, that's the part that's going to cost you, because they're $300 to $400 for a nice pair of goggles.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people
that haven't bought.
There's a lot of people that are buying goggles and they're finding out they can't handle it. They're getting motion sickness because your eyes are telling you one thing, but your inner ear is telling you something else. And so a lot of guys are just going to. It's interesting what people are buying junk laptops, and there's a guy selling stuff. He's been building these out of his garage. Little 12-volt supply dealie where you can buy a busted up laptop as long as the screen is good, strip the screen out of it, and use that. He's got this little thing you can run it off a 6S battery, so you can hike it up into the hills with you, and have a 17-inch nice screen instead of using the goggles.
I would feel much safer doing that as opposed to having goggles over your face. especially if you're by yourself. I don't
Yeah.
like the idea of sitting out in the open with goggles over my face and someone or something approaching you and not knowing it.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of guys that have been trying the goggles, and they say, "Psh, I can't do it."
I hadn't thought about the motion sickness. I have done FPV with goggles, and I was okay, but which is quite surprised actually because I'm normally quite sensitive to that sort of thing.
I think I would be alright with it.
Yeah. If you haven't tried it, go and find someone local that's got set goggles and stuff. It's really good fun. I've done it with a Zaggy, a combat wing, and that's a pretty good laugh. But with a quad is equally good fun as well. It's pretty cool. But to have something small and cheap and strong to go and sort of wang around the bushes and not worry about putting it in the ground would be really cool. Oh yeah, that's like, yeah, baby, I want to try this.
I was listening to the RC Today show guys talking a while back about giving people rides, an FPV or maybe it's the flight test guys. I don't remember now, but I think it would be really cool to have a setup where you could just like have somebody and set a pair of goggles on them and you take them for a ride where they just get to watch. That would be really awesome.
Yeah,
I agree.
Like if you could buddy box goggles or something like that and say, here,
Yeah. That'd be cool.
You could pretend to be some bird of prey or something, and you running through the trees, flying through the trees and bushes and things. That'd be awesome.
Nice. All right, guys. Well, it's about that time. I'm going to wrap this up. So I appreciate you joining, and thanks for using the new chat window. I think that was pretty cool, unique. I'll see if that provides some value, but I think it was interesting to get people who weren't in the session kind of interactive and involved. So
yeah, good point.
I had a couple discussions about maybe trying to move the questions to Q&A or move them to private, but I kind of like them just in the public feed so that we can all answer them,
So
even
the
if we don't
group
talk
chat
about
was
them.
a public feed?
What's that?
The group chat was a public feed?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
the
so,
other the group
the
chat
other
is, but on your Everything CPO was.
Yeah, it's the one that's on the display right now. The everythingcpo.com CPO Hangout. On that, or pretty much anywhere on my website, is the public chat. And you must have missed it, Clay. You probably came on after we talked about it. But instead of using the group chat, we're using the public chat so that we can get more viewer interaction real time.
Okay. Well, I knew you discussed it. I didn't realize it was separate from this.
Yeah, totally different thing. And this is okay, but I was thinking about it. I'm like, this is great, but the people viewing the video later never get to see what we chat on the side. And we share a lot of cool information just in chat, a lot of links and stuff like that. So I decided it would be a good idea to pull that out so that anybody can see it, and then also give people a chance to chat with us real time. So I thought it was kind of interesting. So
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Anyway, that's that. If you weren't paying attention, I did hit 3,000 plus subscribers on YouTube. So the Futaba THA is up for giveaway, and you need to go to the video that says Futaba THA giveaway, comment on it. I'll programmatically scrape out the users off of that. And select a random winner. So make sure you comment on the video itself, and you'll know you're in the right place because there'll be a whole bunch of other comments on there. There's 45 comments on there right now. So don't comment on Facebook posts or Google Plus posts because that's not going to get counted in the drawing. You have to go to the video and post there. So. Anyway, so thanks to all of you who have subscribed and helped get me to the 3,000 mark. Thanks to Hobbyco and Futaba for providing a giveaway, which was really cool. And thanks to you guys who are on the Hangout with me. Always love to talk. Always learn a lot. So good times. And everyone else, I guess we'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, have a good one.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you later.